Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a Wednesday night here on the platforms of the German Sim Racing Club, and it's time for another double-header when it comes to your racing action, as the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya will be our host for both of our racing categories here tonight for this part of this week's racing entertainment. Although it's a little different this time, we're going to see two different layouts of this circuit in action tonight to mix things up a little bit here. And to kick things off, it'll be a slightly shorter national course configuration. See that little, well, wide hairpin there on the start-finish stretch. It's just off to the left of screen from this particular shot right here, right now. That is what the drivers will be contending with around this circuit here for our Aussie Legends Supports Series here, backed by the club and the merch GSRC.inc store. To kick things off here tonight, my name is Danny Yeoman. Be back on the microphone here for you tonight, and joined by Adam Lavis taking care of production for us this evening. And it's looking like we are going to have a healthy looking field to kick things off here tonight. And we'll go to the qualifying results in just a couple of moments here as we get ready. But a quick reminder of how things went down at Watkins Glen. The answer really is the story of a lot of drivers going up and down the order. So much so Gary Cousins at this stage sits on top of the pile there in the Aussie races, number 58. Sam Chapman just behind him with the fun little thing there of the fact you've got Gary 12th in the sprint, first in the feature, and then flip it around with Sam, who won the sprint, but down in 12th for the feature. And you can see a lot of ups and downs for the drivers in this field. But close situation with the points on hand and all that jazz. Looks like we're not too far away from getting a race start, because once they're all on the grid, we'll be going here. For tonight's race, for the first one, 10-minute sprint, 50-minute sprint, sorry. Max Christensen, Reese Kane front row, Luthwaite, Barker the second, Merritt, Leach the third, Chapman, Reeves the fourth, Adam Proctor, Gary Cousins going to round out your top 10. Apologies for the ultra-rapid race through of these ones here tonight, folks, as we could be any moment away from starting this one, so I don't want to cut this off too much. Baldwin, Heppel, Glasspool, Buttle, Zamora, Heaney, Sharp, Uni, Friend, and Hanson going to round out the next 10 cars in this field. And then the last drivers here, Fleming, Simpson, Dwyer, Booth, Fischler, and John. Just on time for the start of race one, the first part of the action here for the Aussie Legends Support Series. We're underway on the run down towards this shortened turn one at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. You've got up towards the front of the field, Aiden Luthwaite to the inside, going up to second place on Brett Barker and Christensen. Oh, further in the field, Zamora's out wide, and multiple cars have not made that first corner there. I'm seeing David Uni, Jamie Fleming out in the runoff with him there, and I think there was someone else involved as well as the leaders going, oh, trouble though through the kink on the run up the hill. Mark Eppel in the all-white machine, Joe Baldwin, James Glasspool, the three cars involved there at least, if not potentially more that might have already escaped the scene. It's bedlam once again here as this car's running off the road here, and I can see somebody who's Jackson Fisher's just actually, taking an alternate layout halfway down the back stretch, and he didn't need to in this case, as they now come up into this back half of the circuit, complete lap one, to try and get into a sense of whether Christensen from Luthwaite, 4/10 second at the front of the field. Here with Chapman up to third place already, but he's got a bit of margin to try and hunt down as, it's been Collins, it's been Guy Leach and Brett Barker around in the RACC chicane, and oh no! Gary Cousins has been rolled over through contact. He eventually lands on his wheels, but he's now, what on earth have I just witnessed there? Also the painfully slow recovery moment there, as race control are on scene tonight, so they're trying to get through this as well, but it's been absolute madness for the first lap here. The field already fanning out big time here, Adam, as we've got drivers up and down the order a little out of shape.
Yeah, a bit of a hectic start there with the shorter layout here, but interesting to see if these five can grit back up and make a good race. We definitely have a couple of, like last week in the first race, just breaking off into little packs of 4 or 5, so we'll see how it goes during the race here.
As we saw, of course, any bit of straightaway allows these cars to draft up very nicely indeed, as Luthwaite to the inside will take the race lead here at the cakes up on Max Christensen. So an exchange there, and for Luthwaite, he'll be someone who's going to get a better result in tonight. P3 in the opening sprint, but a penalty in the feature race last time out meant that he was eventually scored in P6 for that one there, and it did hurt him. I mean, still sitting P5 in the championship. We are talking single point differences at this stage after just a single round of the season. But coming out of the RACC chicane once more and into the final turn, Catalunya here for these drivers. Looks like your top three going to be working their way around by themselves. John Merritt, Reese Keane there in the background, but they're really going to need someone like Christensen to sort of back out of things as he goes for the push. But Chapman says, I'll take the double draft off the both of you, set the fastest lap in the process. He will fly to the race lead. And Christensen also halfway. Oh, lock up from Luthwaite on the outside there into turn one. He's going to run wide off the road a little bit there and potentially lose the draft. Keane's run wide, and he might just lose the draft to John Merritt as well there and be in a pretty lonely P5s. And you've got the next pack of cars here with Leslie Reeves, Dominic Buttle, and Adam Proctor, the three-car group. See if they fit together because they've got Greg Heaney, just there off the back of their bunch. And again, this ebb and flow is go to a lap one replay here with the Butters and more there on the outside. Unfortunately for him, big lock up there, and it was the 840, of David Uni, who I believe has been flagged at fault for that incident. It was the car that went straight on at this shortened turn one, and unfortunately it went pretty sideways there. And then shortly after that, you come up immediately here into what's usually like turn 7 or so, and big stack up there, rightos. That's how Joe Baldwin and the 116 forcing Mark Heppel. There's somebody in front of Heppel that just sort of stopped in that corner, and that seems to be what happened. And then, in addition to the incident there for Uni with Zamora, he's then also picked up an unsafe rejoin with Jamie Fleming. That's how James Glasspool retired out of this one so far.
Oh, the teammates got
into each other. That's the contact I saw off screens. And then, unfortunately, look at that there for Gary Cousins. Just clips the spun Brett Barker, and then his car pitches up into a rather nasty roll. Speaking of rolls, been another kind of incident of contact and nearly picked up a car into turn one right now between Adam Proctor and Leslie Reeves. We'll have to get that when we can as Joe Baldwin. Big slide. Rear pitches out into the 45. And watch this here for Adam Proctor as he chases down these two cars here on the stretch and just gets into the back of one of them, the 323 there, I think it was, of Leslie Reeves. And goes flying and lucky to come back down on his wheels in a way that allows him to settle in and get going back to it again. As finally back to live pitches, already 1/3 of the way through this race in terms of the time elapsed. We are time certain tonight. 11 laps is scheduled, and I believe it's been carefully picked based on the estimated lap times, but we'll be counting based on the 15 minutes. There's now a 4-car lead back. John Merritt has been able to catch up to this bunch, and so we will expand the potential drivers racing for the win at this stage. Reese Keane is there, but you can see without the draft, he's going to get absolutely dumped to the tune of multiple tenths on each of these straightaways here. So Chapman gets the first draft of the race lead ahead of Christensen. Will Luthwaite go for it? No, Luthwaite's rolled out. Merritt's the one actually who was looking to press the advantage and possibly go to second place as they now round turn one. Once again, here we go. Jalen Hansen getting a big old push from Broden Friend here down the front stretch. Now, one of the things that Wednesday night organiser Greg Heaney was kind of wondering if we would see tonight was the multiple 4+ wide action that we did see last week at Watkins Glen. That hasn't eventuated yet, outside of maybe a bit of start line shenanigans, although standing start tonight rather than the rolling start we saw in rounds last week previous may also have changed things up there a bit too. On that front, Christensen back to the race lead, meanwhile here at Lakaiksa. And now Merritt challenging for second around the outside of Chapman as we swing around this long right-hander into the Europe car corner here, taking this inside tighter line chicane that no one's particularly fond of, although perhaps in these kinds of cars it works okay. As Fleming off the road in front of these two, he's out of the way, as unfortunately we see there for John Simpson. Second of 10 week, he's been in the server. And this time, connection issues means that he's back in the session, but in no position to have a competitive race result here in the sprint at least. Christensen defends, but it'll be John Merritt at the middle of the 3 wide. Take the race lead, but Chapman contesting on the brakes. Christensen almost having half an eye back into it here. And now we're starting to see a bit of a wiggle there from Chapman trying to hold the outside of turn 1. So inside really is the best place to be, it would seem. Get on the power much easier. Go by here as the top 4 up to turn 4 here on this layout as we come past halfway on the clock now inside 7.5 minutes plus the lap to go as down into Lekaixa once more. Doors left open by Merritt. Big snap on the exit there for Merritt. Hangs on to the lead. If only just Chapman had a look at Christensen after they all sort of checked up on the exit, but no change for the top four just yet in this situation. So we'll check back in with them in a moment. Leslie Reeves, Adam Proctor back together once again. Last time these two were together, Proctor ended up running over the back of Reeves and almost went airborne. Completely, definitely got airborne on the front end. And he hasn't lost the bar yet though, so the car might have actually taken that hit and somehow miraculously survived adequately to carry on. As they'll come through the chicane here. Slow these cars down to set it up for flat out through the final turn here, and then build as much speed as they can into this shortened to turn one. They're right on board with him here. Here's the car revs up to about 12,000 RPM. Plucks probably fifth gear at this point, and does lose a bit of overspeed, of course, thanks to the being down out of the draft. And in fact, he doesn't quite get the move done. Reeves confident on the brakes into the turn, but the inside line looks like that might just do it for Proctor. He's almost completely clear, and he will swing into the corner there and secure the job very nicely and be up into position number 7. That's a move for him so far in this one. Your biggest move up is Joel Hansen up from 20th to 11th at this stage of the race. And speaking of other battles here, again, Mark Heppel is playing for the time being 416 machine, currently sandwiched between two of our rusty boys, and Guy Leach and Brett Barker, who came together on lap 1. Certainly not been a great start for them tonight, but recovery might be on as a bit of a tangle there between Heppel and Barker. Allows Guy Leach to get up the inside of both of them through Lekaixa here on the 7th lap of this race. These drivers, and then a bit of a bump and more bumping and grinding here between Barker and Heppel. It's getting a little feisty over what is 15th place in Hilton Booth now. Half a look to the inside. Zamora is back here trying to recover in this one. So now 5 cars back, the minor placings. It goes, Heppel's around on the exit of this chicane here, RACC. It looks like, unfortunately, he's done that all by himself. So we'll now have to recover some momentum, but be all alone while he does it. Proctor trying to get to Dominic Buttle, doesn't quite get the job done, and he's repassed by Leslie Reeves there. Meanwhile, Del Sharp Breghini going for a duel here. Start of lap number 8 for these drivers as race control busy with lap 1 and previous incidents, so 10-second penalty goes away. Contributions to that race, as that's Jamie Fleming off the road there. Excited shot, unfortunately for him. He's a lap down, and I think just trying to get out of the way there, Adam. It's been a little bit of a rough start for 785 tonight. As he into the inside is Sharp, should get that 9th place all sorted out there, for now at least. Come back to the race lead here because it is still a 4-car fight, and they've been sort of exchanging moves and attempts to see what they could get out of this one. Watch for Chapman perhaps here, whether he decides to have a crack. Start of lap 9. Let's get to a maximum possible of 11 laps here, folks, and we are on track to do exactly that. As Chapman up to the inside of Merritt with the double draft, and yep, he will claim the spot, but he leaves the apex open. Christensen can't get there though with the cross underneath to be able to sort themselves out. So Chapman now inherits the race in this closing stage of the race. Boothwaite's still ever patient as Proctor. There's been a tangle with Buttle and Reeves at turn 1, so we might need to pick that one up on the replay. This guy Leach is going backwards apparently as well a bit at some point here. He's currently in a duel with Gary Cousins and Brett Barker still. And without a doubt, I kind of wish I was actually out driving, but I did make the agreement to broadcast here, be part of the broadcast team, I should say, on a Wednesday night. So it is what it is. As Boothwaite's now getting involved with Merritt, and it's stuck on the high side through the right-hand sweeper of turn 7. So that's going to mean Christensen back to 3rd place. And Chapman has a bit of breathing room here for now, but all this should probably mean is that he'll be able to be passed back at turn 1. As Proctor here, he's pinched on the outside. He's pinched the guys on the outside there, Adam, and come across the nose. So I get the feeling if that is called in, there might not be much to see there from race control, but there might be another angle there perhaps that needs investigation. Simon Dwyer, unfortunately, has found the limits of adhesion in his car around the final turn and ended up spun around on his own. As we'll go back live to the front of the field. And actually, Merritt did not catch Chapman. So there you go. About 0.6 of a second through the final sector. But that was enough to hold off the run into the first turn. So important for this next lap here. As now, it's all about setting up for your final positions. Where do you want to be? As those finalized, no, Christensen and loose weight tangle. And we're going to lose Christensen from the lead lap, the lead battle. It's now down to 3. In fact, no, it's down to 2. Luthwaite dropping off the back of the leaders as we're back on board with Luthwaite just to see this run once more. Christensen gets up here inside there, not fully clear thanks to the extended bar on the rear. And it looks to have done the job there when it comes to hooking the cars around. So it is now John Merritt versus Sam Chapman for the race lead. In fact, Merritt actually threw in the middle of this lap up to the race lead to start this one off. And actually, Luthwaite's catching, so he's back in the fight. I thought he was done. If I was going to be brutally honest in all of this one here. As we go back live to Reeves and Buttle. Here's 6th and 7th place, these two, as they try and get something sorted out for the finish of this race. They've been together and scrapping. Here we go. White flag in the air just in time, as we will indeed get to 15 minutes on this 11th lap of the race, so it's perfectly scheduled. Chapman to the outside, Luthwaite to the inside, and Merritt here. No, Luthwaite backs out. But Chapman's still going for it here. A long way around through turn 1. Hasn't been overly successful, it seems, tonight. Unless he finds grip. He does find grip this time. Inside for turn 2 will be his here. At this little flick back to the right on the exit here. Luthwaite trying to find a run is stalled by Merritt. Too close to make anything of it here. As we come up to the back straight for the final time in this opening sprint race here for the Aussie Legends tonight. Week 2 of the season is already off to a firecracker. Once again, on board with the race leader for now in Chapman. Merritt to the outside. Luthwaite wants inside. He's blocked off by Chapman. There's no way through as he's in the like hikes for the final time here at the hairpin. Chapman covers it off, blocks Merritt. Luthwaite tries to get to the outside now. It should be the inside here for the moment, but outside for turn 7. This sweeping right-hander. It's running out of opportunities here. Contact between front and rear for Merritt and Luthwaite. Chapman should be able to hold this one to the finish unless there's a big dive coming. Big attack from Merritt. Is the car loose into the RAC chicane. He's going around. Merritt in 3rd place and he's been tagged. He'll go back to 4th place at the best. In fact, Christensen should come through here and get 5th place of them too. But Sam Chapman, apparently the sprint race master, he'll win at Watkins Glen and he'll do it again here tonight at Barcelona, Catalunya. But that is only one half of the story here. We have, of course, our main event for these cars coming up in a couple of minutes. Luthwaite and Keane to round out the podium tonight, with Christensen and Merritt in top 5 there to finish things off, and it will be Dominic Buttle here, I think, to hang on ahead of Leslie Reeves. 400ths to the line. He does. It gets awfully close. Greg Heaney also challenging Dale Sharp to the line, but doesn't get there at the end of that one there. The last couple of battles, Gary Cousins and Adam Proctor perhaps might be worth a quick look as they come to the line. They flash across now. Closing up, but not enough there, and that will do the battles that remain on track with our last couple of drivers just to finish before we can get the official race results from the server here for the opening sprint of this 2-race format here for the Aussie Legends Support Series from the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya national configuration here tonight. Well, not quite as much of the big pack racing drama there as the session ticks over. We can now bring up these sprint race results here. It's 0.897 of a second between Chapman and Luthwaite at the line for this one there tonight. Rhys Keane, who said there, dropped off the lead pack and then gets invited back to the podium after Merritt's late race mistake there, drops him back to 5th place, and Christensen gets a spot out of it in the process too. And then your top 10 going to be rounded out by Dominic Battle, Leslie Reeves, the SCSR racing cars together there for 6th and 7th, or at least the first of them, I should say. Then Dale Sharp for Aussie Races with Greg Heaney on his tail for Whiskey Business, and the top 10 rounded out by Brett Barker for the Injectors Online Racing in that Rusty 95. He had Guy Leach for company there at the end as well, and through most of the race to boot. In 11th place, Bowden Friend in 12th there tonight, about a second odd back. Then the next pack, a little while back, a couple of seconds to Hilton Booth in 13th, and Gary Cousins a second behind him in 14th. Adam Proctor for 15th place. Jolan Hanson, Eduardo Zamora, Mark Heppel Jackson Fischler and Joe Baldwin to round the top 20 on this race here tonight, folks. And your last couple of drivers who finished this race, I should say, pardon me, 21st place went the way of David Uni, and then getting into the drivers here, lap down or multiple laps down in this case. So Simon Dwyer a lap down, Jamie Fleming a lap down as well. So they will get some points, but then unfortunately for John Simpson, connection issues means he is a DNF for that one there in 24th and no points, and James Glasspool also retiring very early on after that starting incident for him. And Adam Sir John, unfortunately, a no-show in race 1 this evening, and I suspect might be the same for race 2. So we'll see if we get 25 cars again for this second race, 25 minutes or 18 laps based on the calculations of that first race. I suspect we're going to be pretty accurate on it once again, so keep that lap number in mind as sort of a rough guide marker as to where we're going in that one. But real quick here, but whilst we're on this warm-up break, a reminder that this particular series here, the Aussie Legends Support Series, is sponsored in name of sorts by the club itself at merch.GSRC.inc. You can head there and pick up some clothing or apparel if you wish to support the club and get something back physically for it in return. There are also some teams who have partnered with the GSRC, and there is merch for them also available in the store as well. So remember, there, bottom left of your screen, merch.GSRC.com. That is where you need to go if you want to get some real life gear to go with the club and the sim racing gear I'm sure you're using to make it all possible for yourselves back at home, wherever you are. And with that, Adam, the session will roll over once more, and it's about time to see how the drivers tackle a longer race. Now, we didn't see as much of the big pack racing. The draft obviously is still here, but a bit more technical of a track, more opportunities to lose some time on the straights, on the corners, and such that we saw at Watkins Glen. Now, the other big thing that we completely glossed over in that race, invert top 10, it's going to be Brett Barker, Greg Heaney, the front row for this one here tonight, Dale Sharp, Leslie Reeves on this next row, Dominic Buttle, John Merritt, Max Christensen, Reece Keane, Aidan Luthwaite, and Sam Chapman. That'll be how they start this one tonight, and then it's as they finished. So Guy Leach, the first car on the outside with Broden Friend, who's outside, Hilton Booth, Gary Cousins, Adam Proctor, Joel and Hansen, Eduardo Zamora, Mark Ebel, Jackson Fischler, and Joe Baldwin, the top 20. And then we'll see if we get David Uni, Simon Dwyer, Jamie Fleming, John Simpson, and James Glasspool for this race. Looks like they're just about all there, bar maybe one driver deep in the pack. So the clock will expire, and just on cue, they hit the grid. So 25 drivers going to to this final start here. Let's see who gets the launch drive for the second and final time tonight in the Aussie Legends Support Series from Barcelona National, and we're underway. The tyre smoke from Greg Heaney. He's going backwards off his car. Barker's jumped nicely in the number 95. He will lead the field, the T1. As you've got Christensen, Merritt making their way up towards the top 4 and 5. You have Chapman with a bit of a lunge up the inside. Gets past Heaney, who's down in 9th place from the front row. It's been brutal as Glass pulls around again at turn 1. Man, talk about a night that has not gone well for the DPR driver. No damage, I think, but he's just ended up alone. Gary Cousins, the feature winner from last week, has ended up around at turn 2. And there's another car off and getting him in the gravel. It looks like it might be Leslie Reeves. Has had trouble here on the opening lap as well. As the rest of the pack, meanwhile, a little bit more together, thanks to the fact that we haven't had issues. This is Guy Leach in the background, flying halfway off the road, trying to make moves. As Christensen to the race lead here towards the end of lap. Second place. Brett Barker's checking out. That's how far the road is. Greg Heaney's around on the exit of the Lekaiksa hairpin. And then Hempel goes around through the sweeper. Multiple cars checking up, and in trouble there indeed. The 145 is joining Hilton Booth, and they try and get their cars going the right way, but they have to wait for a gap in the road to be able to get this going. It really starts saying that these cars are a little loose on cold tyres. We're seeing some low to medium speed snaps out of these guys here, Adam, as the first lap will get complete. Oh, yeah, I can see there are guys fighting these cars all over here off this lap on start.
Indeed, it's a very, very little sketchy on the cold tyres, and I think not helping that is also the this second race is the next day at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, so it's a very late sunrise in Spain. But yeah, so still a bit of a cold, chilly morning, and we'll see if we can get these tyres fired up very shortly.
About bare minimum. It is practically bare minimum for the air temperature. Most bare minimum for Celsius. With some dark cover and a little bit of wind. As you said, it's pretty rough there. Top 10 invert from race 1. It was indeed a top 10 invert from the race 1 results as they crossed the line. So that was applied and did take place. That's why Brett Barker is currently sitting as the driver who's led this race so far and is still building a gap for the moment here, which means that if these guys second on back want to actually get him, they're going to have to form up pretty quick and start playing bumper cars, because otherwise, at 1.8 seconds, that's well clear of draft. It seems that these cars spit out and might give Barker a chance to consolidate things here in this one. So, around the final turn once again here, Luthwaite up to P4 for the time being. Got Reese Keane in behind. They break the toe to try and defend the spot, but it appears we had a toe from Dale Sharp ahead, and they're losing time as a result of being too far back. So Keane is just ahead of him. Guy Leach threatens the inside. In fact, Luthwaite gives him a very wide berth, gives the corner a nice wide entry to look after himself. Perhaps it does work out in his favour. Back up the inside of Leach through turn 2. This left-hander into turn 3 it's been trouble for Leslie Reeves and Greg Heaney. They're now both around middle of the road and off the road too, for those drivers. So more trouble. Guy Leach's slowdown penalty in the 460 Rustmobile there at the back of the pack. So looks like he's pushed the limits a little bit too aggressively at this stage. Back with Luthwaite, P5 for now, as he tries to get a rhythm going. Gap to 2.2 seconds. They're going to have to find something here, this front pack. Sharp really needs to get to the back bumper of Christensen and push him as Sharp. Guy Leach out weed hunting in the gravel. Can't find much out there. As Luthwaite just grabbed the bumper of Keane through the RACC chicane here. Let's just check up his run, put Merritt right behind him if he wasn't close enough for him already. So watch these guys make their run down the stuff. We should go there. With no toe, 2/10 faster as Brett Barker of Max Christensen. So this is working out beautifully for the driver who got the pole position with that invert to kick things off in this feature race. They have not found him yet. Luthwaite this time, the inside at turn 1, is able to hang on to the spot. Keane and Merritt now side by side in a bit of a drag off the turn, and Merritt with the apex. Will the sweep, and indeed they will. Chapman stuck there behind them. So this is, again, drivers who haven't really moved a whole bunch in this one so far. Luthwaite, Christensen, the biggest two movers of drivers who started within the top 10, up to 2nd and 4th respectively. But back to lap 1 and replays. James Glasspool, middle of the road. So Zamora, massive lock up, and then he's just gone a bit deep himself and spun across one of our SCSR cars there. I think we might catch the number of the SCSR car involved. Gary Cousins turns down towards the corner. There's contact with one of our wide mobiles. Couldn't quite tell from that angle whether that was a chop down and self-inflicted or if he's left space and drums there. And Greg Heaney gets a touch at the rear from Gordon Friend on the exit, looking pretty slam dunk there perhaps. No, actually wasn't sure. I'll look at that one further in detail. And then, oh dear, actually Friend is involved in 2 incidents within 2 corners on the opening lap. Mark Heppel there and Hilton Booth all in the aftermath of that one there. As we said, our first 4-wide moment of the race ended turn 1, and unfortunately for Reese Keane, he just locked up and lost any spots he would have gained out of that situation. There's more replays looking at these incidents that are called in so far as, oh dear, the 323 machine of Leslie Reeves. I said that was the one I saw on my end that we didn't quite get to catch live on broadcast. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty slam dunk looking penalty there. As one last replay here. This is this 4-wide moment that was just happening off air that I saw. And you're watching Reese Keane, unfortunately, in deep, lock up with the right front tyre. So you'll lose any chance to test the spot right there and then. But he's close enough to get a decent run off the turn and still be with the pack. We finally get back live. The gap is down to 1.7 seconds for the race lead. Christensen is starting to find a turn of pace. And with these guys battling behind, he's now got a bigger gap behind him than he does in front, Adam. So Kino coming up to 1/3 race distance per lap. That's also probably going to be almost 1/3 on the clock too, give or take.
Barker's no mistake.
He's looking very good. What's happened to Brett Barker all of a sudden in the final sector of this lap? A disastrous sector for Brett Barker. Whole second loss. Christensen goes past him like he's standing still, and he's back to the race lead. Here's the 967 after contesting it in the opening sprint. And we're going to find, overdrove the exit with the RAC chicane. Lovely find there from you, Adam. And that explains how there was no momentum at all. It was pretty telling indeed that it all went pretty pear-shaped for him there. Luckily, he's back on the bumper. Christensen has not been able to not been dropped in this moment, and they're still slightly getting away from this angry pack of Hornets behind, who are still scrapping over every spot, it feels like, at least once a lap in this group. There is no respite, no attempt to really sort of play push. They finally start getting closer now. So we go, Barker, Merritt, Luthwaite sectors. There are only, I think, 2 on this track, tell. Sector 1 at 42 seconds, that's enough to get you halfway around the circuit. And yeah, we'll come around here and show sector 2 right about now. And handy gains for Merritt, picking up 0.6 of a second. In fact, the fastest driver of the top 5 there on that current lap. Even if it wasn't his best, or it was slightly assisted by an off track. So that gives you sort of a good visualization of where pace is at for second, third, and fourth. They are the track to be able to lead us in. Well before this week, but it's about 1/3 down by laps, about 1/3 down, a little bit more than that by time. This is perfectly calculated and prepared. Quickest mover inside the top 10 is not Leach, Adam Proctor in front of him is. But still making some progress to get into the 10 is Leach, and trying to make that more spots gained here so far, as they're on the back of Sam Chapman, has been unequivocally dropped from the lead packs of this race so far. As there we are, John Simpson able to get out and track here tonight. Good to see him doing so, even if he's maybe not where he wants to, but he's already made up 12 spots, having come from the rear grid thanks to that connection issue in race 1 and not setting a race result. Up to P12, only problem for him. He's got Joe Ball in the company to pressure for the spot. Dominic Buttle's just going around at the final turn and may lose some more spots than the one he just did. Meanwhile, here's your race lead situation. 4/10 through turn 1. Christensen and Barker. Merritt gets down to 1.2 seconds between him and Barker in second place. Luthwaite gets into the fastest lap of the race. So now we see a bit of cooperation between the 064 and the 707. Share in the speed and pay the dividends later out, as Jackson Fischler going to be a little more conservative on this occasion through turn 1. I think he might have lost a spot there to Joe Hansen, but not entirely certain on that front. As Reeves has gone around again, turn 1. Not been a good night for him, although he got help from Mark Heppel. There's been contact on the way into the corner and a big lock-up. Heppel was Simpson Baldwin. Now begin a jeweler proper. Oh, very nice crossover there, over-under from Joe Baldwin. Gets better acceleration out of the turn and says, I'll have that one, thank you very much. Clean, crisp manoeuvre there on the exit of the Kikes here on lap 8 of this race. Approaching the halfway mark. Speaking of, let's go back to the leaders. Barker now trying to give Christensen the push quite directly there, I'd say.
Yeah, but I think
Merritt and Luthwaite are closing.
Both pairs have realised, and they're both teaming up now, so they're both bump drafting down the straight now.
Take from Merritt at turn 1 though, allows Luthwaite through, so now he'll be the leader of the hunt. How quickly can they get there? They look to be making the ground, but they do have to actually finish off the move and get in the draft range to reform the big pack. Keen and sharp there for a moment, just flashed through the back of the screen. Here's how the gap has progressed, and it progressed nicely indeed. Because there we go, another engaged push from Merritt down towards this Leclerc's hairpin. Back straight is long enough and useful enough for that purpose, with a good run through the turn 4 sweeper. So watch out for gap to keep adjusting here at this stage. So 1.3 across the line last time. See though, it's currently up into 1.4s after that mistake switch. Actually, technically a net loss. Well, there we go. Final turn. Christensen actually has Barker swinging out from behind him. Inside of a second there all of a sudden there. So there we go. Watch out for Luthwaite to start feeling the draft. He'll be able to get pulled along in the process. Yeah, Christensen and Barker, not a clean final sector once again. Oh, Christensen in the dirt as he went to start braking almost there into the first corner. And that would have been nasty had he had a moment. But there we go. It's officially a 4-car battle for your race lead once again as we're on the second half of this race. That 9 complete and right on cue. On time for this one so far. Keen there, 5th place. Sharp is starting to fall back and we'll have to consolidate P6 and potentially will play out at this point. So, probably one of these 4, your best chance of winning this one, unless it all goes pear-shaped at the end.
Or, like last week, there's someone sneaky and we haven't noticed yet doing the fuel save, because as we saw last week, majority of the field pitted and one person didn't, and they stole a sneaky 6-second win. So let's see if anyone else is up to that, or whether this track allows that amount of fuel saving to get that done tonight, or whether we just see everyone have a bit of a transit and a strategy play that way.
Very good points indeed there, Mr. Lavis. I kind of glossed over it because it was asked on the grid of this one, and the reply was as expected for this series. No compulsory pit stops required, but there is still that note in the schedule sheet that the fuel tanks will be restricted. They're already I don't know if it's fuel saving or mind games, or heck, maybe it's both at this point, but no one wanting to make a move into turn 1 of the top 4 here. Chapman and Leach side by side. Meanwhile, I think actually it's Leach that's just rolled to let the 101 through at the into turn 1, and he has. Might we be seeing that now in this race? Starting to feel like it here. Greg Heaney's got it was Joel Hansen is right behind. As David Uni, not I think for this pit stop where one more around, but has a black flag to his name. So unfortunately, I think he's going to be at the very least trying to clear that one before he gets back out. Some more apparently in P10. Dominic Buttle who's outside on the run to the hairpin here at Leclerc's. Covers off the inside nicely, and there won't be a change. Raw now, as always. Seemingly a matter of when, not if, in a car like this, at a track like this. Sure, you can defend, but you've got a 12.6 metre wide start-finish straight. 1.6 metre wide car or something compact like that. So plenty of racetrack to be passed on. Let's just put it that way there. At the last little bit of draft, will pop back to the inside, tries to sort of make his legend the widest legend in existence. Joe Baldwin will say, sure, I'll just go down the middle of you both. And he'll at least get some more for his troubles. Buttle not able to be overtaken for now. And into turn 2. Baldwin committed to the inside there, but door swung shut from the racing line there from this machine. Buttle here racing under 8:39. Sorry, I just actually couldn't read the number actually that was on the tower for David, but for Dominic Buttle. It's a bit of a contrast nightmare. Is Ball to the inside of the Kaiksa, takes the place for the moment. I say for the moment because it almost feels like as though it could change any time. But part of me, maybe some sense of order going to form in that group. As watching back with the leaders, Barker goes for no pass, but it's John Merritt goes past Luthwaite and Barker to second place. I definitely think we've got some fuel games going on here now, Adam, because whilst patience also helps their little situation a bit by making sure no one can get involved. Guy Leach around on the outside of turn 1 that I think was unfortunately for him self-inflicted. He falls back into a bubble of his own, dropping behind by a second. But 4 seconds now off the cars in front is down to the hairpin. Luthwaite looks for a moment at Barker. Merritt same on Christensen, but no change. The top 4, they continue to roll around the circuit now, it seems. Trying to conserve as much as they can when they can. The biggest problem for them actually is doing this, is giving Reece Keane half a chance to work his way back to the battle. But if these guys are now committed to a save, try and cut the stop out.
Well, they might.
Oh no! Christensen goes. From the race lead in the 967, he tips it out too hard and ends up sideways across the circuit. That's watching here. Gets the anti-cut. Gets the anti-cut on the exit of the RACC chicane, and the car unable to handle that change whilst being on the power as well. So there you go. Another friendly reminder and warning that it's not all sunshine and rain. It's actually towed back to the pits shortly afterwards. So decided that it wasn't worth continuing on, which is a little disappointing to say that. But that might just be his race done. So it is a 3-car scrap for now for the race. We'll see Merritt, Barker and Luthwaite. Back a little bit further, have this next group here with Glasspool, Simpson, Cousins. Together for now. Just lap traffic in that there too. But half a second-ish between them. So the gaps aren't particularly tight and compact and making for big draft run games just now. So this is a wait-and-see moment on this group. Will the gaps shift and make a difference? Glasswall's trying to catch up to Dominic Buttle, a second ahead in that green and yellow paint job. Try and find somewhere to get on through.
So I was about.
He can get there.
I was about.
He can get there.
I was about to say just before Max had his unfortunate moment there, the guys at the front, like they may be fuel saving to try and cut the fuel, but even if they're not, that might be just fuel saving to undercut each other in the lane. Because obviously, sometimes with the iRacing setup, some older cars have very slow flow rates with the fuel. So if you can save any fuel, you'll gain good chunks of time in the lane by taking less fuel in the stop. So even if they aren't going to negate the stop completely, they may be trying to negate the other person around them by doing the old sneaky short stop and getting back out in front.
Indeed, the only headache there might just be the case that this being a US car might only fill in half-gallon or full-gallon increments, at which point it's either keep saving fuel or push on, and you have to take some extra fuel in the process. But we're on lap 15 of 18, and I suspect we're at a point in this race where we're not going to see pit stops. You wouldn't be going this long, I don't think, if you didn't need to, and stops were a concern. It was Barker from Merritt across the line, but John Merritt takes the race lead in the draft. Luthwaite tries to go for second into turn 1, and he'll be given it for now. So another box checked for the moment. When it comes to a bit of stability and getting the house in order. 2.5 laps go here in this feature race for the Aussie Legends Cup. supporting the Trophi.AI Supercar Series here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya tonight.
The other thing too is last week we were at the Cup layout at Watkins Glen. Obviously, that's pretty much an oval. So that was lots and lots of full throttle, whereas around here, a lot more off throttle places. So the average fuel burn percentage for the track will be lower. So it's probably easier to make it to the end of the race on the fuel save, if any, in this one than it was last week.
Yeah, all these little spots you can roll it in. Very true. Will be helping with that situation if that's something they are worried about. Or is it a case they will take this as far as they can go before stopping as well? Lap 17 is underway. 3.5. Top three together still here as they work their way around the circuit, trying to find something, anything perhaps, on their competitors now. Reese Keane is closing, so they have to be mindful of any big scraps on this final lap, giving him a chance. Let's wait to the inside of Merritt for the race lead. Barker inside of Merritt, can't make it stick though. Loses too much speed through the apex of the hairpin. Just over one lap to go now, folks. It's going to be very interesting to watch here. Gap inside of a second now between Brett Barker, who sits third, and Reese King in fourth. Not close enough based on how close the top three are. As now Barker loses the rear, he will fall out of the podium position. Inherits it, does Reese Keane, yes, but crucially, top two. We'll see the white flag. They still have a duel here that they would look to sort out. Let's watch this battle here down into turn number one. The final time, Luthwaite doesn't get there, pulls back into the slipstream of John Merritt, pops out once again, this time outside. Can he chop down? He tries, they both spin. Reese Keenan goes to the race lead down with all of a sudden just one to go. He's suddenly gone from being fourth place and not really in this one to being in the best position with no real contest from behind. Guy Leach currently sits up in sixth place. He's got Dale Sharp, Adam Proctor. This might be one of our choosers to watch for the finish of the race. Chaka has got past Aiden Luthwaite on this final lap as well. But King, Barker, Merritt, the podium order before anything. That may be a penalty from race control. I don't know. We'll have to see what they think of it here. Is side by side between the 101 and the 707. Rula Kaiksa, the crossover. Wanted, but it isn't there for Luthwaite. Tries to steer on the outside of this long right-hander, but you've got right-hander into a chicane. I don't see how being on the outside here is going to be any favourable to him here, but Reese Keane didn't quite have the pace at one point there in either the sprint or the feature. It looked like he was going to be condemned to stay towards the top half of the, well, top five, but on his own. That's not the case in the feature. He gets his way through to take the win here and round off the Aussie Legends supports racing here tonight. A sharp Proctor late swap of position there. It's in the run to the line. Forward behind Glasspool. Could this change here? I think it's going to be just in time for Glasspool. It's going to be awfully close though. 500ths of a second and 500, sorry. And Glasspool will hang on to that one there. As Reese Keane burns it down here. No more need for this rubber here to wrap things up. It's Hempel and Friend both with black flags to finish off the race. So rough night out for them. And now we'll wait to see the official results shortly when these drivers cross the line and give us access to that data. Oh! Barely done. And another incident seems to end both of their bits of driving for the night. And like that, whilst we're caught up on the hullabaloo there on the start-finish stretch, the results are in. It is official. 1.2 seconds the margin for Reese King. Brett Barker, after I thought throwing it away, will get a second chance and end up back in second place. And John Merritt thought he threw it away at turn 1. He gets back to P3. Seb Chaba, seemingly out of nowhere, back up to 4th place. Adam Luthwaite back down to 5th. And 7 seconds covering your top 5. Then you got there Guy Leach, Adam Proctor, a couple of tenths will end up in P6 and 7 each. Adam Proctor, P8, also in that same second bracket that the two in front were in. Then, look at this here, a host of drivers in the 20-second brackets. Glasspool Baldwin, indeed 0.052 seconds the gap between those two cars. Then Dominic Buddle for SCSR comes home in 11th place. John Simpson to 12th. A nice recovery drive him up those 12 spots, which is half the field, give or take, here in this one. Aussie races for Gary Cousins there in 13th place. Not quite the same luck with Stroji and at sufficient pace at Watkins Glen to get the job done. 14th indeed for Eduardo Zamora, then Greg Heaney 15th and Hilton Booth 16th. Lead lap inside of a minute. Lead lap and over. A minute behind the leader is going to go Joel Hansen, Jamie Fleming, both of SCSR Racing. Leslie Reeves there in 9th place. And the 10th place is to be determined by way of some voting. And going off track. Where am I going with that? And where was I looking at there? I completely lost my train of thought, my goodness. 20th place is to Mark Keppel. Rough night for him in the feature. Broden Friend down there with him as well. They end up both with black flags, so they've got a very similar finishing result, or they just ended up close together on track. Simon Dwyer, David Uni, a lap down. Jackson Fischler, 2 laps down. And there, Max Christensen choosing to withdraw after his moment. Saw him spin out from the lead, and he ends up 5 laps down. That's your 25 starters, and where they finished all were classified. And that's going to do the racing action. We now wait to see one last look here at this last lap incident. So you can see here, Luthwaite tries to hold Merritt very tight. And actually, it's the contact there which upsets Merritt's car. And then that secondary contact chips around Luthwaite there. So get a feeling neither of them are going to be, well, not happy in the moment, sure, but also probably reasonably accepting of the fact that that was just a bit of a hard racing deal there between the two of them. Neither car really going overly wrong about it there. It was just a, aggressive dive in from Merritt to really contest the position, and defensive positioning from Luthwaite to really try and deny that track space that Merritt was chasing. As that does the racing here tonight, Adam. We're just waiting to see if we do actually get someone to join us from this first series here tonight. But if we don't, we can at least talk about what's coming up in the next little bit. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for next Wednesday night's racing. No layouts there to mess with, so there will be, much like with Watkins Glen, doing exactly the same course as we saw with the Supercars. And we'll see with the Supercars next week for them too. So there, on Wednesday the 4th of February for that one there. And potentially similar kind of things we saw at Watkins Glen in a car like this. You're going to have a lot of fast corners that won't really slow things down or sort of contribute to breaking up the packs. Realistically, there's only 3 and a bit braking zones at a track like Motorsport. In a car like this, I would suspect turn 3 is guaranteed, as well as down to Moss Corner turn 5. Then you maybe turns 1 and 2 may need a dab of the brakes, but they also may be going slow enough they can just tip it in and it'll stick. There may be snuffers also at the end of the lap through turns 8, 9, and 10. There may be something there. There's a just got there Gary Cousins roll over from race 1 there in the background, the shot behind this discussion of the schedule, at least when it comes to next week. And then we look further afield here, the Bend in 2 weeks' time, but on the sprint circuit. I'm just thinking like also the Bend and sprint. Like, what does that track even look like? I don't actually know.
I'm pretty sure.
If I bring it up,
I'm pretty sure it's the short track the V8s use, but you don't actually go all the way to turn 1. There's a cut through before you get turn 1. It's like a little cut through chicane that then rejoins on just after the kink of turn 5.
indeed it does. So it is the West Circuit, but yes, indeed, chop off the actual turn 1, 2, 3 complex that we normally see used when racing at this track. So that is one to watch out for. There is even a shorter course again, but I'm actually kind of thinking this sprint circuit, that might be a good pick for that one there. And then Sebring Club, again, going to be an interesting one because it's a track it doesn't get a lot of love. It cut off a lot of what makes Sebring famous. Goodbye Big Bend, the hairpin, tower, Cunningham Corner, all that stuff is gone. And instead cut from turn 1, basically back onto that stretch as you approach the Le Mans chicane complex. You jump back on the Ormond straight away and race in the Sunset Bend. Miami's MIA Loop, also a short course. It's going to see a lot of that opening sector where it's all about the flow bypass, and then also cut inside to a short run there as well. So that middle part of the season, really where we're going to see the alternate layouts in effect, those 3 weeks in particular, that's going to be probably fascinating, because then after that, the only circuit with an alternate layout to work with is Alton Park in round 8. It's the Foster's course configuration instead of what we'll see for the supercars.
Indeed, yeah, the Sebring one, so basically I'm pretty sure the club one, that's basically you're just doing the airfield and none of the parklands, whereas I actually prefer just the parklands, no airfield, if I do a shorter air Sebring. But the thing is, with these cars, the slipstream is the thing, so that's probably why Greg's gone for the airfield part, because there's 2 nice long big straights and should promote plenty of side-by-side action.
I would suspect so, indeed. So that's a quick look there again. The remaining circuits on the calendar, which don't have layouts for us to mess with. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve there, Hungaroring, and the Adelaide Street circuit to wrap up. So they will be the one-to-one copies with the format for supercars. But with that all said and done, looks like we've got no drivers here tonight who are going to join us. So we might just call the mid-show break about there, Adam, unless there's anything else you wanted to throw in or add in now before we do so.
No, we should be good. We can go to the break and get ready for some supercars action.
Indeed. Make sure to stick with us here, folks, on the platforms of the Gen3 Sim Racing Club. The racing is not done tonight. We will see here, as I said, the Trophi.AI Supercar Series take on the full course here at Supercar Barcelona, Catalunya. Perhaps a layout you'd all be more familiar with, but nevertheless, it will be on the track we see in just a couple of minutes' time. Green flag is about 20 minutes away for that one to be actually more precise, so we'll take the opportunity here to reset, recharge in 40 minutes from lights to flag. One single race for those guys is what they've got to look forward to here tonight. So stick with us if you're hanging around and you got able to hang around here on the platforms of Gen3 Sim Racing Club. More racing action coming your way here on a Wednesday night. All right, folks, if you've been sticking with us, waiting for the break, welcome back. If you're joining us for this specific part of the coverage, welcome on in to Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, your home of racing here today on a Wednesday for the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club in this week 2 of season 2026A. This time round, though, we are going to tackle the full historic layout of the circuit here. So we'll see that opening sector in full use, so we will get that flowing run through Europcar, the wider, longer radius corner there as well at the end of the back straight too. So plenty of options and racing going to go on here tonight, unlike in some respects the differences we saw with the national configuration that the Aussie Legends just wrapped up in. But folks, it's going to be a 40-minute race tonight, so drivers are going to have just the one race to get through to worry about. No inverts, no second starts. A compulsory pit stop is on the cards, yes, but got a bigger window to work it into here tonight, so things are going to be exciting and interesting, to say the least. My name is Danny Amon, back once again here tonight for your commentary coverage, and joined by Adam Lavis here to take care of our cameras and the button clicks to keep us on track here tonight. And qualifying is just coming to a close as we speak. Adam, before we go to the results and such, let's have a look here at how the situation is following that first round of the season. Last time out at Watkins Glen, and with a P5 in the sprint and winning the feature race last time out, it is Jace Douglas who sits atop the standings in the elite split here. By only 3 points, mind you. It is close margin of Jake Slade's consistency with a double second place outing, as well as the most spots gained in that feature race for a bonus point at least, serving him quite nicely there indeed. You can see there Matt Bailey, your sprint race winner, and a P6 in the feature. Still good enough to finish third on points, but about 5 points behind Slade and 8 behind Douglas for the situation as it currently stands. And then you can see our points track out to Ben Woods in 13th. Unfortunately for Mitch Wood there, tangled up in a botched start from Woods of all things in race 1, and looks like didn't choose to take the race second race there tonight to kick things off. Meanwhile, down in the dev split, since we do have these two splits amongst the drivers for this series, Andy Barber leads the way ahead of Wade Sheedy and Nathan Michael for your top three. Margins a little wider here in this split, thanks to, you can see there, Barber comfortably ahead in the class, with the class wins, I should say, for both races. Their last time out, Wade Sheedy second and third in the class, and Nathan Michael third and fifth in the class. So gap between P1 and P2 there is currently 8 points, and go back a further 7 for a 15-point margin between Barber and Michael first, third. You see points running down to equal 12th place there for Dale Sharp and Pete Matson. So things are all pretty well squared away at this point in time. So just waiting on the clock to strike zero, which is going to happen right about now. And from what I can tell here, I am seeing 18 cars with lap times and 22 drivers in the session. So hopefully in a second, when we get the option to throw up the race grid, we'll go to that one here. Also noting our conditions, pretty similar to the Legends race to finish things off earlier, although afternoon race with a little bit more track temperature is in play. But let's walk you through the grid. Jake Slade gets a pole position here tonight, and a pretty decent 0.29 seconds ahead of Dane Snedden on to join him on the front row. Luke Page, Sam Cullen close together will start on row number 2 together. JMR drivers of Alex Seekis and Jace Douglas going to be on row number 3, and then we get to some of our dev drivers. Jordan Eitler, fastest of them tonight, going to have Ryan Barber to his outside with Andy Barber and Nathan Michael, making it 4 devs to round out the top 10 here so far in qualifying. Sean Rigby and Sam Chapman will get on row number 6 to kick things off. And our first mixed row with Daniel Snedden and Tim Nicol making a dev from Elite pair up there. Mitchell Buckman, Dale Sharp, Bobby Camo, Eduardo Zamora make it our next dev drivers there down to 18th place. With then Mark Heppel and Broden Friend, no qualifying times for them and no classes yet either in this series. and then Colin Bennett and Jackson Fischler, if they are also gridding up. Bennett certainly is in 21st place, but whether Jackson Fischler will perhaps is to be seen. So mid-20s for the field, well, actually 22 to be precise. Let's call it what is, get them all in shot pretty neatly here as we await the green flag. 40 minutes, compulsory pit stop, and all of the fun stuff that goes with that 55% fuel tank restriction tonight will bring them to a stint end at some point. Probably, I'd suspect, around the 25 to 30 minute mark, but I don't have those numbers on me to kick things off here. So the revs rise for our third and final time here tonight on a Wednesday. Trophi.AI Supercar Series, second round of the season from Barcelona, Catalunya. There we go. Diverse in the middle part and the back half of the field, but it will be Slade who leads Snitted and everyone else down to turn number one. The full length of course here at Barcelona, Catalunya in use. We get this iconic 1, 2, 3 opening section of the track in play here. These kinds of cars, of course, not particularly fun to a set kernel like this. You're going to have to be very patient as you wait on the car to grip up underneath you as you swing through that long corner, up to the Repsol corner and the bridge for the first time here in racing conditions. Side by side still between Page and, Page and Cullen. There's a Jace Douglas now up the inside, going to take that one away from him there, I think. Yeah, Page doesn't quite have the performance on the brakes to challenge the spot. Straight off the bat, settles back in the line now, down in 5th place. Sharp and Snedden, Daniel Snedden have gotten together, it seems, towards the back of the field. They've dropped some spots, and Daniel Snedden is down way back. Daniel has only 3 drivers. Daniel Snedden, Sam Cullen, Ryan Barber, all picked up slowdown penalties through the 7-8 TV3 complex. There's contact there. It's going to see Cullen going back, I think, to serve the slowdown penalty. Bit of help. Contact, and then Jace Douglas and Luke Page make front rear contact. Alex Sickers will slide up in between them and take a spot away. As it's a little hectic, but more interesting reasons. There we go. Snadden trying to desperately clear the slow and finally gets it done there just before turn 12 Europe car, but ends up way out of shape going into said corner, and Jace Douglas will walk through into second place, easy as you like. In that particular instance there. And looking back here, Ryan Barber in 10th place is on the gearbox of Nathan Michael after all of that there. As they work their way down towards turn 1 once again. Get the second lap of the race underway again. Time certain as Seekers has just run off the road. Dane standing in behind. I didn't miss if there may have been something about a big old slowdown as what's going to be going Seekers' way for that. And he's got a little loose through the rear end as well. That'll hurt the tyres for good measure, but luckily being on lap 2, penalty's not as bad. Goes to cover the inside from Andy Barber. It does work for him to protect that spot. He actually gets a nice run out of the corner. Going to now pressure Jordan Eitler. This is also for the Dev class leadership in this race here as well. In fact, puts Eitler out of position through turn 5 and opens up the inside for 6 and 7 here. Side by side for the class lead here. Really excellent. 3 drivers being a bit too aggressive perhaps with the apex curbs, and as a result being told to back it off. Cleared it pretty quickly, but Dane sent him back to the second place, and that's all it's doing is allowing Jake Slade to open up a margin of 3.4 seconds. It's back. There's the car flying. Nathan Michael's gone up the inside of the hairpin and he's made contact as a result. I think though he got tagged, so don't think that starts with him on the run into the turn 10 hairpin there. It has caused a bit of a mess, and gravel back on track as well to boot. And then leans on Bobby Camo. Ryder Zamora. Boys close behind. They're not in this battle just yet. This is Ryder Zamora here trying to hang it around the outside through a couple of corners, 11 and 12. And we'll get there for the final turn to try and get lap 3 underway. Just listening to a couple of the cars here, they're rev limiting into turn 1. So drivers really tight on ratio selection, it seems, if they've opted for a gear stack to give them the better drive in lower gear and higher gears, slower corners. Let's have a look at this here. 4 minutes down. Let's just start lap 3. Estimating 23 laps in this race. So let's have a look. Okay, yeah, there's definite contact between one of the Barbers and Nathan Michael, and then it's massively wrecked the second Barber. It was Ryan Barber who got into the back of Nathan Michael, and then Andy Barber who's been absolutely speared as a result of that. And then there's been an issue for Sam Chapman and Tim Nicol apparently. Daniel Sneddon here. Sneddon getting Daniel lap 1, how he ended up at the back of the order. So he's been tagged by, I think that was Mark Heppel, that all-white Mustang. And then Chapman here, this is lap 3. Oh, he's in hot, but then Tim Nicol's in hot up and knocks him around on the entry to Repsol turn there. So a bit of an awkward mistake there. As back to live pitches, Luke Page and Sam Cullen going at it again for 4th. Inside is going to be stronger for Page now. Cullen's still there, but can't really do anything with it apart from try and set up a nice run into the final turn. He just needs to really position himself for the best run possible. And indeed, he will get a much better run for the turn. He should be able to finish this one off down into the first corner. But let's just listen in, see how these cars sound, as to whether they're going to have any gear left. Both cars close, but Cullen under brake gets the job done. Sick just wants a piece of the pie as well, to the inside of Page from turn 1. And whilst Page is the apex of turn 2, he can't gain the speed. He's up into P5, pardon me. And actually, apologies, I got here in the league Seekers registering as elite. And yes, there it is. That has changed, I think. I could have sworn that said dev colours for Seekers. Of course, folks, if you're new to watching this broadcast, or specifically, we have our 2 divisions. The elite class drivers, or division drivers, blue backgrounds behind their position, their current position on track, and the white car, or the white position number in that overlay. Dev drivers with the grey, light grey background and white position number, sorry, and then our drivers who are not yet graded with the black background and the orange position number. So that's how you keep tabs on who's where. And for the drivers that aren't graded, it gives you a bit of a clue of what to do. As Cullen locks it up on his own, unforced error at La Caixa. It's going to invite Alex Seekers up the inside, but it's going to be the outside for turn 11, which probably won't work. As a bit of argy-bargy through the middle of the turn. Cullen trying to get the drive out, but Seekers is still there. Side by side into the penultimate turn at turn 12. Apex, though, was much stronger through that particular corner, and so Cullen will regain his track position in 4th place, but he's now a long way behind the race lead as Seekers gets a little bit loose off the last turn, and Luke Page going to try and line something up here in the draft, perhaps of Cullen 2 at the outside turn 1. Going to be hard to make this one stick. Indeed, does get on the brakes a little better. Oh, but he's got Seekers to outbrake himself. In the mind games, it'll mean that Jordan Eitler also swings around the outside of the JMR 449 Camaro. Back to P7. Just overcommitted for the conditions there. Seekers goes back on the attack immediately. Eitler sees that coming, leaves the car width initially, but closes it down, protects the track position for now, even though, end of the day, they're not racing each other. Points don't matter between them. Unless there was to be a class shift for Eitler. Some updates from race control here tonight. We've had 2 penalty issues so far. The number 19, the Mark Apple contact with the 97 of Daniel Seven. Replay from lap 1. And 0.55 Ryan Barber, 10-second penalty for his incident with Nathan Michael on lap 2, which also then entangled his teammate Andy Barber as well. And for that messy moment down here at La Caixa as Seekers gets the better of Eitler under the brakes into said corner here on 5. And he'll regain P6 on the road. Try and set after Luke Page and Sam Cullen both.
So just to clarify, a little bit of confusion there with it. So Page and Segas were new to the series last week. They were TBAs, so they've been promoted to the elite class for this week. And then Eitler is dev based on last season's performance, but obviously over the off season he's stepped up. So there's a good chance he may be getting promoted at some point in the next couple of weeks if he keeps this sort of pace up.
There's indeed good potential if you're running in this pack here. Again, it's all done by the maths, not by the vibes. So it all comes down to your pace out on track. We better go to this battle pat for P2, please. Jace Douglas and Dayson still sorting that one out. And I think Douglas, yep, up the inside after Repsol turn off screen. We may want to pick a replay of that when if it's all said and done here in the next couple of corners, because he was there a couple of laps and ends up now getting the job done. As yep, here we go, we'll see it now. So already threatening up the inside there with that kind of a line through turn 3, and Snadden deciding not to make a defense of that. Ends up actually out, and some of the marbles have been kicked up from incidents such as Chapman and Nickel there at the Repsol turn. So that's how that one played out. See, Snadden is still with him, so we'll have to watch out and see if there's a change. Turn back to the situation for these two there. And indeed, Jake Slade, in the meantime, has been given free rein to set his tone and his pace, and the answer has been, I want to go fast. The fastest of everyone in this race so far. Gap of 4.6 seconds here at the end of lap number 7 in this race. Already passed by 1/4 time marker, which would almost indicate more laps than what my calculator is estimating. Maybe there's a 24th lap that'll come out to play in this race tonight. There's more. First driver coming to the pit lane after just 6 laps on his boots. Back out again. And now I'll wait to see if that was the right move or not. I'm surely thinking it's a little early. If he is indeed. It's a long stop for the drivers of Moron. 22 seconds though. And it appears to be rolling once again, if that is to be. Onboard meanwhile was Snadden for 3rd place. Short holding station with Chase Douglas in this top 2 scrap. Do not have the pace of Jake Slade. This time in the racing gap continuing to eke up towards 5 seconds. So gonna have to see if that is a circumstantial change, or if this is going to be the order of things here tonight. Meanwhile, a little further back, Jordan Eitler and Sean Rigby working their way through this turn 10 hairpin here. Their 7th lap of the race. This now, Eitler still in a comfortable position class-wise with Rigby here. Could afford to not really fight him, and then still have about 5 seconds back to Andy Barber, first of the drivers behind in that dev designation. So watch out for that one here. Anything coming into turn 1 on this lap. Lost 3/10 to Rigby, but he protects the position. Slash to the point of no attack incoming on the start of lap 8. At least the immediate start of lap 8. So could be said to be early days as Nickel up the inside of Nathan Michael. Will take that place though further on back for 15th. And I've just seen here now Rigby going for the move on Eitler through Repsol. There it is from the high side shot, and the job will be done on the corner exit. Oh, a bit of a touch though. Eitler gets the left rear corner, goes back out of it, and allow Rigby to gather the car up and carry on. But that nearly got spicy there for a moment. Adam, as they wriggle their way through the track. Conditions are still favourable 19 Celsius air, 20 Celsius track, but CSGR, pardon me, when we round for no decimals, it actually officially rates as 21. So there you go. Some cloud cover in the air and some wind also in play. It's currently about a headwind through down the back straightaway to put the direction in reference. Go a little further back in the pack as we've got some there you go, look at this healthy old scrap here. Daniel Sneddon sort of leads the train, actually no, sort of ahead of the train for now. Then you got Tim Nicol, Nathan Michael, Colin Bennett, Mitchell Buckman, sorry, and Ryan Barber in this group together. All of them are devs, with the exception of Nicol as one of the elite division drivers. Of course, Nicol a little bit out of shape thanks to his incident with Sam Chapman. See if that changes as the race goes on. You hear the drivers up and over the curbs through the opening part of the circuit here, and then trying to find an apex through this third turn at a point where the car will actually allow you to put the power on without having given up too much or risking it too much as well. Bennett, though, deep through the Repsol turn, and both Buckman and Ryan Barber are going to pass him. As a result, one of the easier passes they'll get tonight, I think. Unfortunately thrown very wide open there by Colin Bennett as Ryan Barber to the inside of Buckman for turn number 7. And pulls it up nicely clean on the apex. We'll take that spot away. So two positions in a lap, not even a lap, a couple of corners here for the Gremlin Motorsport 055. Meanwhile, side-by-side, Dale Sharp and Sam Chapman going into the kikes here. Is this Chapman defending the spot, or is this Chapman on the recovery? This might be actually Chapman on the recovery getting back getting past Sharp in a fairly decisive fashion. As Ryan Barber, having made those positions, dives into the pit lane and he's following Tim Nicol in. Now, the million-dollar question is, does he maximise his pit entry as a result of that, or is he had to, Tim Nicol's in because of mechanical black flag for 222. So some kind of I'm suspecting a downshift engine blow is the cause there, as Eitler's got a slow down penalty there with the yellow flag next to his name. So he's going to have to give up some time on the circuit as well. We're going to quickly see here the cause of Tim Nicol's issues. If we've got it. Oh, he hit the fence. Oh, dear. And he's made a meal of his left front corner. So, no, not engine trouble. Try suspension trouble. That'll do it for you. He's been caught out by the walls that snuck up on him. He's gotten lucky that it hasn't messed his car up angle-wise inside the pit lane. Let's look at it again here, thanks to the onboard angle, thanks to Disruptive Labs and you, Adam. Yeah, it's too fast. Too fast, and he's very lucky. He bounces off of that tyre bundle at the end of the attenuator and the pit wall, and stays within the pit transit and pointing the right direction to not mess up things for drivers like Ryan Barber behind him.
Yeah, there's a nasty little bump on the pit entrance there. If you're not, if you're trying to take it too hard, you can easily throw into that tyre wall. So he's obviously been caught out by that, and luckily he's got a fast repair, and he was in the right place to take it at the time.
Yes, indeed. And shouldn't need to go down the pit lane again, although, again, still I feel a little early for these drivers who are taking their stops now. I would think this kind of a circuit, you want to run a little longer. Overcuts in this car are generally favourable. 2, 3, even 4 lap overcut. Generally quite strong in that situation if you've got overtaking opportunities. In a track like this, you do have overtaking opportunities. Don't worry about that. As we get lap 11 underway here in the mid-pack of the field. Buckman up behind Nathan Michael, but not close enough to set a pass up proper through turn 1 or 2. So he's trying to tick all the boxes here, and in fact, there you go. The opportunity opens itself. Michael very wide through turn 3. But Buckman unable to get the drive out either, so he just closes up a fraction more into Repsol. And still waiting for the chance, but now it's really looking like between these two, Nathan Michael's got a car. His tyres are dying away from underneath him, whereas Buckman's got a few more laps in this, where he's got some composure in it, holding 3rd gear. Might be able to use 2nd there if he trusts the car, but it does also mean he gets out of the corner. 0 wheel spin for him, and then gets again good apex through 7. Try and set the positioning up for turn 8 on the exit. The ebb and the flow of a track like Barcelona here, you can see try how can you position the car to get your exits clean and fast. And as you can see here, also critical priority of Buckman being don't get the car burning up, which you can see still 3rd gear through the hairpin here at the bike. So obviously a little wider radius, choosing not to downshift. He's going to trust in the drive of the car. It's losing him some time, I think, off the corners compared to what Nathan Michael was doing. But he's looking a little more stable, a little more in control. And there you go, Michael to the pit lane. And Michael, oh, so close for Nathan Michael. Keeps it away from the attenuator though. Now, Mitchell Buckman released. Let's see what he can do with the clear track in front of him. See this here again. Yeah, watch for how close the left front corner gets to the tyre bundles here. To the left rear, actually closer again. All right, back live. Luke Page, Alex Sekas, the battle for 3rd place. Currently in a sort of a world of their own. Clear as Sean Rigby, but about 4 seconds behind Jace Douglas at the moment, who in turn is the gap is still growing to Jake Slade at the top of this order here. So this is looking like a commanding run from the AITX Revolution E-Racing 045, although still got just under half a race to go here, so don't count all the chickens until they've hatched here tonight, that's for sure. What needs to be in the game plan for this one. As just going to watch this one here, get a bit of an understanding of what's up between Page and Sekas. A little wiggle there from the 530 machine off the final turn. Doesn't help matters, but also doesn't lose a ton of time. And the lap time difference there, just shy of exactly 1/10. So it's going to be a slow burn to this one, I think, Adam, unless there's a drastic shift that happens in the next couple of corners.
Just a bit of a we'll see what happens when the pits phase goes out here, but Sam's finally got his run on Bain Snadden here. And that's for the effective, effective 2nd, given they're the leaders of the thing, but they both picked up a slowdown.
Oh, yep. So Cullen, too much apex curb there through turns 1 and 2. Snadden, I presume, well, Cullen was definitely turn 1 apex curb. Snadden, I'm going to think the turn 2 apex was probably what was at play there for him. They've still got to get those sorted. Let's see if we can get the outboard shot to perhaps pick this one apart. Unfortunately, there's no definitions of the track limits. Just got to work off of what we end up seeing here. So for Cullen,
yeah, you just got the inside there.
All 4 wheels off the white. Snadden, I'm not quite seeing what his issue was though. Oh, did Snadden go too wide on the entry to turn 1?
Possibly.
I think he got bullied a little wide there, and that's one of the more oddball ones. But there is the slowdown at the exit of turn 1 that you can pick up if you run out too wide. So it's just real quick here. Will ride with Snadden. If he goes out to the curb and then some. And right there, I think he might have just gotten the 4 wheels.
I think they both
they
might have both
got the apex curb.
just got too much of the apex curb. And you can see, like, they're right on the white line, so the iRacing is a bit harsh there, but that's the rules, so they got to try and stay within those limits.
And well, they've served their slowdowns, and actually it's Snadden back in front of Cullen. So watch out for this, although Luke Page, Alex Seekers in the pit lane. These two drivers will comfortably clear those two there. So indeed, back up to a effective third and fourth. But dipping, weaving, diving, here we go. Cullen tries to pinch Snadden. Works for a bit this time around. Cullen's good. Snadden gets a bit of apex curb. Gets away with it apart from a bit of slide, but it will be the 258 back through and back in front once again. As we are now down to just the top 5, and Mitchell Buckman 10th, yet to pit. Drivers now really starting to decide now is the time to get this pit stop done. I think we're now sitting in this window here where you're doing a lap 14-15 stop. You've got the overcut on tyres. You're also giving yourself time to work yourself back into a competitive position, because you will have lost a little bit by waiting it out. Broden Friend here, small mistake on the exit of the Kikes. Sees some more, pick up a freebie off him for 18th place. We'll go back live a little further down the order here. The battle for the, well, on track, the Dev leadership, but it is a bit of an out of sequence show here with Mitchell Buckman yet to take a pit stop, and Jordan Eitler stop is ticked off and done for him there. As there we go, Jake Slade, your race leader, brings it into the pit. So we're seeing here that the car's going to do 14 laps flat out. I'm starting to think so, because Douglas is in the lane. Wait to see here, Sean Rigby going to join them in the pits. He will indeed. This all points to indeed we're right at the point of the race where you can go no further. 14 laps sets them up nicely though. Take this one home from here. Little slow out of the box for Slade, sorry. But gets rolling all the same. And he's now on track for a lights the flag run. There's Mark Heppel, and Jace Douglas actually rejoins with Cullen and Snadden. So we've got Heppel here, the only driver yet to stop apart from Buckman. Oh, sorry, Buckman's in the pits. So this is it. Mark Heppel looking to go one lap longer than everyone else. But he's now got Cullen on a couple lap old tyres he wants to get through, who makes immediate work of passing him by here. And then you've got Snadden and now Douglas. So a three-way scrap for second place is on the cards here tonight. We'll wait to see who's in position to make the most of it. Adam's turn to try and get past Heppel. Can't get there though on this particular occasion. Try and set the run up, he will. Oh, snap of the curb. Jace Douglas, too much curb. He's going to have to give up some time. The cars in front. Chase them back down later. In fact, Luke Page is going to enter this equation as well, as Heppel was black flagged. Oh, the incident point, yeah, that's has to be what it is. Just saying, no slowdown for Heppel, no penalty from race control for Heppel. Was Luke Page now with a chance to get past Jace Douglas. Tries, but is now on his bumper for the time being. So, needs a pit stop and a drive-through penalty. When will Mark Heppel go to one of them at least? He's still going though. He's going to try and stretch this even further. So are we actually seeing here that no, we're not at the fuel limit? Just in case the driver's saying, yeah, 4-lap overcut, that's enough for me to work what I need to do around this circuit. And fair enough, gets you at the 25-minute mark of the race. It's on board here with Snadden trying to find a setup to pass this all-white Mustang. It's the opening there. It's not really, but the door is just enough. It'll say that's a Camaro-sized gap. Coming through, please. It's not done though. Heppel still is outside as we run up towards the Repsol turn, but the inside is going to be stronger and on fresher tyres. Heppel's got no response for him there, and indeed swings out deep. Jace Douglas is going to get a bit of a free shot into turn 5. He can take it, and Heppel loses the rear. Backs it out, so that releases all of these pitted drivers to get on with their race. Another bit here from just threatened to go for the inside, and Heppel, whether it's understanding of the car technique there, locks it up on the downshift. I would suspect, and that is the end of that defensive positioning and posturing from him. So back to live, and now the battle may commence unimpeded for P3. Big thing for them, though, is they've lost 2 seconds to Sam Cullen in the process. That's going to be time and tyre wear they're going to have to somehow put in if they want to try and make it up. We are also closing in on the final 10 minutes of the session. Snattered wide, though, through Europe car, the penultimate turn. And he's wide again for the last turn. Douglas sniffs and smells an opportunity. Snattered wants to defend this one. He will go all the way, bare half a car width to the inside. Push Douglas back out towards the racing line. Open his own entry up into turn number 1. Who's latest on the brakes? The answer is Snattered, but who's got the best run through the complex? Definitely Douglas, but he's in no position to make anything of it appears. So Snattered will protect the position with just the right bit of driving. There's a slowdown for Jake Slade for the first time in this race. Means that he sees his lead chip in under 6 seconds. Douglas, though, gets a nice run out of turn 3. Gets the inside for Repsol turn here. Snatton, I don't think he's going to have much for the defense on the outside. He'll try and power out, but Douglas clears him on the corner exit, and there's nowhere up the inside for him to go. So he swings back to the outside, tries to chop down for a straighter exit. End of the day, it's going to mean that he will lose that 3rd spot with the JMR driver, the winner of your feature race last week at Watkins Glen. The racing here hasn't quite, strategy-wise, worked for Douglas, but also qualifying wasn't necessarily perhaps what he would have liked. The P6 start in qual to boot as well.
Could be this track being a technical track. It obviously would suit some drivers more than others, so maybe this is not quite Jace Douglas's favourite layout, so maybe that's just hindering a little bit this week, but we'll see how over the course of the season, obviously, that will even itself out, so we'll see if he can get back and be closer to Slady next week, possibly.
As Heckle and Seekers are together on track now. Heckle's not going to have long left to be able to serve his penalty.
He might get DQ'd here.
I suspect he's got, at the best, one more opportunity. At worst, yeah, the DQ flag will be flown here in a second for the number 19. He'll be getting warnings about it. There will be a warning that will have come up.
Well,
I think
I'm pretty sure this will potentially be his last lap on fuel anyway, so he should be getting close into his tank life.
That's a problem then, because if it's a drive-through penalty, it won't clear on a pit stop, which means that he'll be DQ'd in that case regardless.
Yeah, he needs at least 2 laps of fuel to be able to clear his black and do a pit stop here. So he may have bit off more than he should by doing this extra lap.
Well, the ballad of Mark Heppel awaits its conclusion, grim it may be. So Heppel, that is. Thankfully, it's more just dour, negative, not grim. Reserve that for something far more nasty. We'll go back to some more racing on circuit. Dale Sharp versus Nathan Michael here. This is for
15th place, and
15th place. But I was also classing it's fifth in the class. That's true. I can read the numbers on screen. That's all right. No problem with that one there. Actually, there you go. We'll get the class split up for us to sort of resolve that question there. So yeah, 5th in the class for Dale Sharp at this point in time. Michael right there to try and change that information for him.
You can see during the pit stop, Nathan Michaels had the Whiskey Business pit crew give it a bit of a spit shine, just a little bit more presentable than it was before the stop, after the shenanigans in lap 1.
Buff it out, and she'll be right. Heppel comes into the pit lane. Meanwhile, I am just a little nervous as to whether this is going to be a pit stop for Heppel, or if this is going to be a penalty service.
He may have enough fuel to run a lap if he's lucky.
Yeah, this is looking promising. Yep, it's looking promising to serve the penalty and not take a pit stop. Going to stretch this all the way. Only concern is this is to the flip side, right? Okay, so you can do 19 laps on a tank of fuel, just we presume. We'll have to see if he maybe coughs and sputters at the end of the lap. But And the big problem for him now is this is the case of leaving the overcut too long in the race. He'll come in, he'll pit and take his tyres, but everyone else has been running around for 4, 5, 6 laps on a fresh set of boots. And they'll have been able to absolutely outclass him for lap speed, just with better grip, if they've not been too reckless. And so whilst he'll come back out with better grip now, he'll have lost too much by pushing it too far to make the benefit. And this is sort of the balancing act where the overcut is worth it, but only for a couple of laps. You need to carefully manage and sort of position it and yourself right to be able to get the most of it. Still sweeping through the last couple of turns here. Luke Page, Dane Snadden together at the moment. Jace Douglas has started to check out up the road and try and engage Sam Cullen for second place. But pacing is all pretty even at the moment, to the tune of, well, not really being able to make anything much of it so far. And slowdowns for Cullen and Page, yes. As there we go. Mark Heppel back to the pit lane. And that will now allow him to get a fresh set of boots on the car. On board now with Jace Douglas, who's caught up to Sam Cullen with that slowdown penalty, 2:58. Let's watch it here through the back half of the lap. See if we can spot anything different. Douglas there, more aggressive on the exit of the corner. Stays out a little wider. As we head on down in towards this middle part of the lap. Trying to find some rip out of the turn 10 hairpin. Even on this historical layout with that longer hairpin, it almost really puts more load through the car, of course, because you're waiting on it for longer. Little deep, gets the gravel on the exit of turn 11. That's going to slow up his run slightly there. It's a swing of the final turn. Both just brushing the apex curb, both using all of the painted runoff beyond the curb there as well. And away we go once more. Close up nicely, he does. Through the straightaway, so there is that to be said too at this point in the race. We'll see if that makes a difference in these closing minutes. Jake Slade going through Repsol turn at the moment, just trying to think, 2 minutes 40. We should see a white flag on this next lap, so it will go to 22 laps tonight, folks, here for our second round of the season here at Barcelona, Catalunya. And Douglas is really starting to turn up the pressure on the back bumper of Cullen, but the exit of turn 5, it fans back out once again. Is Cullen trying to really focus on clean exits? Chapman's off at the Repsol corner by himself for now, as Douglas really hounding the back here of the AITX Revolutionary Racing car. And in fact, a really slow run, relatively speaking, through that sweeper here at turn 9 onto the backstretch. To watch here outside for Douglas. Can he do anything with it? The answer is he'll try and cross up to the inside, but Cullen there rides the inside line pretty well as well. So no exchange here just yet. Slade is coming around to the final turn. He will see the white flag in just a moment and trigger this final lap event here for us tonight, as Chapman unfortunately there all by himself into the Repsol turn. Call that one messy. All right, one final time around the circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya for these drivers here. So tip this car on in. Turns 1, 2, and 3. Cohen really trying to put the power down early. Douglas trying to hold a tighter line through this part of the circuit at least. End result, these guys are close. Up into turn 5, it's all closed up now. Cohen defensive. Can he hold the apex here to protect the drive and the position? But now, just about. But Jace Douglas is looking. And he'll throw the Hail Mary up the inside, but there's contact on the corner exit. No space left. Will there be a question there about track, about racing room given or not? Cohen aggro through turn 9 to sweep onto the back straight here, but it looks like he's lost too much ground to be able to make any reply. Huge lunge coming though. And too much of a lunge there in reply. Will lose any hope at combating for second place, and Dane Sutton might even try fancy his chances at the spot as well. But as we need to go to the front of the field, Jake Slade is going to make it a perfect lights the flag run here tonight for the 045 AITX Revolution E Racing Camaro. He will be your second winner of the season, or pardon me, third winner of the season here with the main race, the one and only race here in the circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya. Cullen will hold on to a podium place there ahead of Snadden, but only just. Jordan Eitler has been pretty much the man to beat in Dev all night, and he finishes it off with a comfortable margin back to his fellow competitors in that division here. Trophi.AI Supercar Series. Now, final couple of drivers here. Going to swing through. Chapman ahead of Nickel once again. They were like this at one point during the race. Thankfully, no controversy here across the last turn and the finish line for them both. So we'll have Mark Eppel here up the inside of Mitchell Buckman to take 19th place away outright on the road. The late tyre gambit from Heppel and the incident point penalty not really paying the dividends for him here tonight. As here's this attempt at a lunge again, and Cohen, unfortunately, it's a case of trying too much with what he had left underneath him. It was never going to work. And yeah, safe to say a gambit that in reply that he definitely but he's going to call that one in and all that there, so we'll see if that gets a decision issued anytime soon or not. With that, we can now walk you through the race results. So 8.5 seconds for Jake Slade across the line, rebuilding that margin in the back half of the race. Jace Douglas will have to settle for second place there tonight. Sam Cullen, third across the line, although that may still be a question mark there over that one. Dane Sutton close, but we'll have to settle for off the podium in fourth place to finish this race off here tonight. And then it's Luke Page rounding the top 5. Alex Seekers ends up in a quiet P6 to finish, despite the scrapping early on for him. Sean Rigby behind him for 7th, and then Jordan Eitler leading home our Dev division drivers there ahead of the Gremlin Motorsports duo, Andy and Ryan Barber, 9th and 10th respectively. We've then got Em Chapman, Tim Nickel and Islander pros, and 11th to 12th, and then our remaining Dev drivers are Nathan Michael for 13th, Bobby Camo in 14th, Dale Sharp there in 15th, Daniel Snedden, Eduardo Zamora, Colin Bennett, Mark Heppel and Mitchell Buckman all over a minute behind Slade at the front of the field tonight, but still on the lead lap for that one there. And our last 1 or 2 drivers we should have on the result sheet, if we do. Or do we only actually have? One driver retiring was Broden Friend, 7 laps short of the finish, and no start from Jackson Fischler there. So that's what sees him down and out, and all of that one there tonight. So that is your field here. There was just a question mark over the exact order of the podium, I think, based on the situation on that last lap between Douglas and Cohen. That may be adjusted slightly before we wrap things up here tonight. So we'll wait to see on all that. As now start talking about race results, race winners. We'll bring in, I think, the man who, uncontested, and the race win here tonight. First of all, you got him queued up on the screens. We'll cue him up here on the mic and welcome in Jake Slade after what looked like a pretty handy race win for you there tonight to make that now 3 races, 3 podiums, and a worst finishing result of second. Still, it's a pretty good way to get the season off to a start. Well done. Now, just checking to see if we have Jake Slade with us here in the box at the moment. There we go. I got him there. I was just saying there, Jake, if you didn't quite catch it there, you now go second, first for this season. Not a bad start to things, and tonight looked very comfortable indeed. So the $1 million question there being, was there anything left to do in that race that you didn't quite tick off tonight? That you would have been happy with, or of the sort? Because it looked like a pretty comfortable race for you.
I think I drove pretty good tonight. We had a really, really good dock, so it helped a lot. I was a little bit concerned at the start because I never did any race pace or race length sort of runs, so I had no idea what the tyres were going to be like at the end of the stint. So I just tried to drive it pretty square. This track's pretty bad on fronts, but yeah, it was pretty good. I just put out to really work on my little micro mistakes, and I didn't really make any tonight, so I'm really, really happy with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, at the end of the day, yes, I was kind of thinking how bad the tyre situation was going to be here tonight. The track that is infamous for being a bit of a torture test for the rubber. Although slightly colder conditions may have helped stretch things out a bit there. End of the day, you didn't really push things too far in the opening stint, get to a little bit past halfway and then switch it over. I guess the question there being, if you wanted to go further, how much further could you have gone, with fuel being the limiting factor tonight, of course?
I believe I wasn't fuel saving at all, really, but I believe I had about 3 or 4 laps left when I came in. The tyres just started losing that edge and just started being a bit unpredictable mid-corner, so I thought it was time to come in before I lost too much time, especially with some of the boys coming in a little bit earlier. I sort of set myself a number that if I went over a 49, it was time to come in. So, no, we managed them really well. Yeah, the fuel was there, so didn't run out this week. So.
Yeah, that definitely it doesn't hurt things in that situation there. And I mean, I guess the thing is for us, we weren't really watching you tonight in a sense. Unfortunate, I guess, for you, but at the same time, that's just a mark of how consistent. Look, there was like maybe one slowdown I think you might have picked up tonight that we noticed on the overlays, and how that sort of slowed down your roll after the pit stop. But otherwise, yeah. Happy as you like out there on track, it seemed. But I guess, yeah, it ticks off the box. It keeps this podium roll going, and start thinking about next week's racing, which will be Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, back to the sprint round format as well. Smaller track, a classic for V8s in many respects, but what do you think of it? And going to that 2-race format, what do you think will come of it?
Yeah, it's a good, fun little track, that's for sure. And as you said, it's definitely historic with these cars. Many notable series have been run here, so the format should be good for it, I think. It's a very hard track to pass, so the reverse grid, I'm believing, is going to be in the second race. Could prove a little bit challenging. It's just going to be all about getting a really good start and just trying to get the shoulders out early without being too overly aggressive, and try and get the passes done quickly so you don't kill your tyres too much. But yeah, the boys have been doing Logitech there last week, I think it was. or this week. I don't know. I don't even know what date it is.
Yeah, they're actually racing right now as we speak.
Oh, right. There you go. We've got a pretty good dock sorted for that. So I'll be pinching that and driving the wheels off it next week and see where we finish up.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. You've got that sort of reference to work off of, based on the fact that they raced there last week, so it's an opportunity here to play that game. But I guess what are the things you'll be sort of Is there much more you'd be looking to get from here? Because strong qualifying, strong race results. Is there anything else really left to sort of hit in terms of performance aims and goals at this point? I know it's early days, but and it's all really setting things up for, I guess, the season as well. But was there anything out there that you'd want to improve on that we might have missed?
I think the only mistake I made tonight was to slow down the lap after I set. So I set the fastest one. I was too hyper focused on giving Sam a bit of porkies in the chat, saying he's a bit too slow. So I broke a little bit earlier than my braking marker and turned in way early. So just a lapse of concentration, I guess. Just trying to keep my head a little bit somewhat sane. And, but yeah, just the consistency. I've got the pace, I know that. So I just need to work on consistent pace, backing it off 5 to 10%, and just making the tyres last longer, so I get that pace carried through the whole stint and not just for 5 laps.
Yeah, well, based on tonight's result, the pace was there and it looked pretty good relative to field. So maybe not too much to worry about, but then again, you're the one behind the wheel. You're the one that's looking at the numbers, I'm sure, a lot more closer than we are on a lap-by-lap basis. So there is all of that, I guess, to keep in mind. Well, with that said and done, we'll leave it there for tonight, mate. But the floor is yours. Anyone you want to thank and give shout-outs to, there for the race result tonight?
Yeah, just all the boys at RER, mate. We have a really good, tight-knit community. Great bunch of blokes. They're always pushing to be better. And we honestly couldn't do it without our sponsors. AITX, Shield Coat, Sud Speed and Kibby. They keep us going, keep us getting setups, practice lobbies, you name it. They're always there. The boys are pushing us constantly. We're just trying to be better each day. And it's all about the 1%ers, mate. Just do that 1% each better each time. And it's always an upward trend. So. And just my beautiful fiancée, Jaleesa, as well. She'll be laying in her bed with a little Nala girl, a little dog. And I'm sure she probably has her big number 1 foam finger on.
Very nice indeed. Well, that's a nice little thing to have handy, I would suggest, in that case. So props for having one of those on hand. Thanks for talking with us, Jake. Well done out there tonight. Looking pretty comfortable on track, and look forward to seeing what next week brings in that case.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the call tonight.
There you are, your race winner and pole sitter too, mind you, as well. Jake Slade, really untouched, it seems, in the racing action. We've got 2 more drivers. We'll bring them both in here now, I guess, Adam, just to sort of keep things moving. And we'll start with the man who's come across finished in second place. So there may be a question mark on it though, but by the looks of it, that'll be determined later on in time. But Jace Douglas joining us here once again after, as I said, winning the race, feature race last time out at Watkins Glen. Back here, another podium tonight. Had to work for it though. Jace, can just see here, your qualifying was better tonight. Was that something you think was a notable improvement? Just because, for reference, qualified 10th at Watkins Glen last week, he qualified 6th here tonight. And obviously without any kind of like inverts and stuff, did that really sort of set you up or set things up a lot different there for you as a result, you think?
Probably. I just concentrated a bit more tonight just to try and get up there and see what I could do. And I don't know. I had a run in with Sam on the last lap, but there was nothing in it. I went back and looked at the replay.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not really my place to make the calls. I'm the one sitting up in the commentary chair and looking through things. So Race control, well, pure. There may be a question about overlap and stuff, but look, yeah, you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe you do claim that cleanly as your own, and it's a happy days. Carry on. So I guess it's all a wait and see situation in that respect. But I guess yeah, just the race tonight for yourself. How do you think that worked out for you strategy wise? And you had to really sort of you're battling early on with guys like Sam as well as Dane Snadden, who's with us here as well in the box at the moment. But we'll get to you in a moment, Dane. I promise we'll sort of just work our way through it in due course. I guess yeah. Also, what do you think of the track? Also being can be a really nasty on tyres, but tonight perhaps not too terrible given the cool conditions. Or what do you think there?
I wasn't too bad on tyres. If you push too hard, well, you're going to wear them. But yeah, I didn't really want to push that hard because I wanted to stay with Jake, but he just pulled away like amazing. And I thought, oh well, I'll just stay in P2 and see what happens from there.
Yeah, it worked out pretty dang well for you in that case. Yes, I said, unfortunately, can't say with certainty what you're. Whether you're going to hold the second place or whether it may change after the fact, but I guess that's neither here nor there at this point in time, I suppose. So let's just take it as a P2 for now for you, and that means you go with a fifth, a first, and a second, which means that you'll still be comfortably sitting. Well, you are sitting second in points. You and Jake have now swapped spots in the order based on all of that stuff. So. It's keeping that strong form going here to kick the season off, and it's Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, Motorsport next week. Go back to that sprint format, which may induce a bit more jeopardy with the smaller track and the and all that stuff. So yeah, well, what are the thoughts on a strong start to the season and where it'll take you next?
Just hoping to stay in the top 1-2 in the championship before all the fast people come back and dominate, but. Yeah, no, we'll just keep it there and hopefully come out with either P1 at the end of the season or P2. That's the goal.
Early days, drop rounds, all of that stuff could play its hands. So yeah, early performance results may not indicate end season outcomes, I guess, is the name of the game in some respects. But with that said and done, we might leave it there for you, Jace. Look, all in all, good racing tonight. I do have that question mark, but as you said, you reckon you're pretty good, and end of the day, it's in the hands of race control, not me, so we'll see what happens. And yeah, any shout-outs, thanks you want to give tonight before we let you go?
Yeah, JMR, Alex, Bruce, Jet, Craig, Jacob, the boys over there. Bruce has helped me tonight again. Thanks to him, and thanks to Jet for supporting me all the way to get to where I am now.
Well, there we are. Jace Douglas, P2 here tonight from Barcelona, and looking pretty good as a result. And thanks for joining us here to chat about it post race. And last but not least, it seems to speak about the race tonight, based on who we've got here in the box. It's going to be Dane Snadden who's here with us as well. Qualified on the front row, mate. Unfortunately, going to sort of finish up there in fourth place, and nearly had a chance to sneak onto the podium there after Sam and Jace went at it on that last lap. How did you feel about the race overall, based on how you went there tonight?
Daniel, pretty disappointed with the race, mate. Qualifying practice absolutely stomped it for the amount of practice I had, which I was super excited with the times I was putting in, but hadn't really done much in race configuration, which had a bit of fun with the guys out front there. I think we all got a bit of a slowdown penalty on the first couple of laps, so that was a bit of bumper cars. That was pretty fun. But no, it was that preparation without any race laps, which sort of killed it at the end there. The first stint sort of looked after the tyres. The second stint, I just absolutely toasted them. So it was just look, I hate to say it, but I was kind of hoping the guys in front might sort of have a bit of contact and yeah, maybe I can jump back up into those podiums. You never want that to happen that way. You want to do it fairly and squarely, but back of my mind I was kind of hoping a little bit there, but not to be. I know you got to be in the sort of top 3 to jump into the broadcast, but I saw Sam hadn't jumped in, so I was damn close. I thought I'd take my opportunity tonight to jump in. Thank you guys for putting on a great show, and thank you all the racers and Risky Business and Greg and Michael, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, much appreciated. I mean, end of the day, like, it's obviously nice to hear from the front runners primarily, but at the same time, like, you are up there most of the night, and like, yeah, you are 2 tenths away from a podium spot as well as the boots. Just really quickly, you were talking about tyres and how you sort of felt like you were struggling with them in that second part of the race tonight. Was that the case, you feel, of just pit strategy and maybe coming to the pits a little early and having to run them long, or just you ended up maybe just overdriving it a little bit regardless of the stint length compared to what they could give you in the back half of the race?
Unfortunately, with my driving style, I tend to push the tyres a bit hard, but no, I split the strategy straight down the middle, so 40-minute race, 20-minute stints. I just had, I don't know if you saw it, but coming into the pits on that one stop there, I sort of tagged the outside tyre barrier, which slowed me down a bit, which let Sam catch up, which is a bit disappointing, but sort of put a bit more pressure on myself to bridge the gap and catch back up the time I lost, which ended up, hindsight, killed the tyres and lost the time at the end of the race there.
Yeah, well, we thought for it you might have escaped, but yeah, fair enough that even though there might have been a small gap left, it was definitely borderline, and makes sense you might have clipped the fence indeed there with your left rear, as well as possibly the left front too. So as Adam noted to me, that the car sort of perhaps was looking a little cleaner after the pit stop than it came out of, perhaps, or it might also be sort of an illusion there as to what we were seeing. But nevertheless, you walk away P4 tonight, and it's a good result for you there, which, looking at how things went, whilst last week wasn't by the numbers super incredible, at this point in time I think you're going to sit somewhere around 4 on points, despite it being fifth. You'll be 5th on points. Can I count? It says here equals 6. Let's go with that for points at this stage. Early days though in the season, of course, so obviously might leave it. But let's say talk next week real quick. Motorsport will be the track. Go back to the sprint round format. Looking forward to the racing there and what that might deliver, or some of our guys here thinking it might be tighter and a bit harder to make passes, perhaps. I guess, what does it look like or mean to you? What we'll be seeing.
You just got to take each track as it is. Like, really, Barcelona's not one of my favouriteest tracks out there, but you just take it as it comes. I've had pretty good pace. I just need to convert that pace in qualifying and race. Look after those tyres, and hopefully I should see the results no matter what track it is.
Indeed. Yep, that is. It'll all come together, I'm sure, in due course. But thanks for chatting us with you here tonight, Dane. And one final chance, any shouts and thanks you wanted to give, you haven't already done so, for yourself here tonight?
Just the Whiskey Business boys. All the drivers in there, they make life a lot easier. Obviously, GSR sponsors, Disruptive Labs, merch, TGSRC.inc, Flash Graphics, Waste Option, and Trophi.AI. And of course, Project X on the Whiskey Business ship.
Well, there we are. Thank you very much, Dane Sadden, joining us to chat about his race out there tonight. P4 is the result on the road, which should stand, I think. But we'll have to wait and see. I still have questions over at the last lap between Jace and Sam, but it may be nothing of it come the end of it there. So thank you very much, Dane, and enjoy the rest of your week. See you back out on track next time.
Thank you.
And with that one there, Adam, I think that's going to wrap us up pretty much tonight by the looks of things. The green room is silent. That there was the schedule coming up with, as I said, Motorsport, the focus in 7 days' time, bringing us back to the sprint round, but smaller, narrower less of a oval on road kind of thing out there on circuits. This is that moment there. Oh, actually, there you go. So depending on the angle and the replay or live element, he did give it a good whack with the left front corner too there as well on that pin entry as he was talking about. So tight one there tonight in some respects, but and good racing up and down the field.
Indeed, good night racing. It was it's one of those things. This is one of those polarizing tracks because it's the characteristic of the track is it's a perfect track for testing. Sometimes it doesn't quite do the best races for entertainment purposes, but depends on the car. But the guys did their best night. So there's a few good groups, a few good battles, and all in all, decent night for a lot of the guys and some good points for the season.
Indeed, looks like the points are almost sorted out. I'm seeing. Oh, sorry. There you go. That's the elite. Yes, Jake Slade. Yeah, second place for Watkins. Winner tonight here at Barcelona. Points will flip his way back to the tune of a 2-point margin between him and Jace Douglas, the early front runners of this season, the early favourites, it looks like, to charge out there. Sam Cullen moves up into third, Page up into fourth, Chapman up to fifth, and then, Seekers and Snadden tied for sixth. Matt Bailey's no show tonight, nor Marcus Watson's. They dropped down the order into the middle of the field on points for the time being. But that is, of course, just the elite split here tonight. So that's one half of the situation out on track. Looks like I'm seeing dev points. You're seeing dev points. This is the game here. So Eitler with the race win obviously jumps up nicely, gets the third place. But on the early season form, it's going the way of Andy Barber for now by 9 points. So keeps things solid with cleaning house at Watkins Glen last time out, and second for him here at Barcelona in the class. So that keeps things nice and orderly there. Nathan Michael, similarly, a little closer than, say, the likes of Sam Cullen in elite to the drivers ahead of him. But end of the day, it's looking like potential the start of a 2-horse race in both of our divisions here in the Trophi.AI Supercars series at the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. Well, with that is the racing tonight. We've talked a lot about Motorsport specifically for next week, but if we talk about perhaps what's coming up broadcast-wise and the other series we have on here at the GSRC to round out the week and look ahead at next week, start things off, of course, with our double header for tomorrow night. Disruptive Labs GT4 Challenge take to the streets of Long Beach. 2 sprint races coming your way. The same format as what we saw with the Legends car, the only exception being a compulsory stop in the second race and rolling starts as the GT4. So if you want to get in on that action, make sure you jump in the race server by 7:35 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, as 10-minute qualifying sprint format means that it may lock you out from joining the session before qualifying starts. So please keep that in mind. If you're keen on racing, we'll go live at 7:40 p.m. tomorrow if we have somebody available for that broadcast there. And then following on from the GT4s and Long Beach, the GSRC Porsche Cup will head to Autodromo Nazionale Monza. 2 sprint races of their own, 9 laps, and then 14 laps with reverse top 10s and compulsory stops there as well. So practically the same format, but just go by laps, not by time in the Porsche Cup cars. That'll be a split broadcast. Race 1 will be for the Open Cup server, and race 2 will be for the Elite Cup server will be broadcast. So share the love around there. If you want to join in on that race session, make sure you join it by 8:45 p.m. AEDT so that you don't get locked out by qualifying, as with the sprint rounds once again. And then moving to Friday night to keep the broadcast action going, it will be the Disruptive Labs GTE Championship. Joe Baldwin going to get back on the buttons and take care of you all there on that one, folks. And we'll have Tyson Broad standing in on the microphone for that one as they head to possibly the nastiest version of the bend, I would argue. The GT layout configuration will play a 1-hour race host for those cars there. And then, of course, during that broadcast, we will spin the wheel to find out what car will be raced at Bathurst on Saturday for the Mountain Men's Social 200 series. So make sure if you want to do something to wind down and you're at home on a Saturday night, you can check out the Mountain Men from Green Flag, at least from 8:30 p.m. AEDT on Saturday night. If you want to join in, it's an hour of qualifying beforehand. And just rewinding back to GTEs there on Friday night. Green Flag at 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight. There's half an hour of qualifying, but as long as you're in the server before 8:30, you should be good to jump on and get out on track. That's this week's racing to come, but of course there is the racing to come early next week to round out the full package. Broadcasting will return as usual on Monday night. This stage should be your regular lineup with Zach Caban alongside Adam Lavis here for Waste Options Monday night racing, with Wings and Slicks, of course, taking up the opening slot as we head to Japan and the Okayama International Circuit for a 30-minute race there for that one. Racing from 7:45 p.m. AEDT, so obviously run the numbers, get into the server. Ideally by 7:35 you're going to qualify, but single race format means if you can't make qualifying, you could technically squeeze in at the last minute there on that one. And then after a short break and switch, we will head to GT3 Series Racing, which is running on the international layout of the Bend and sprint racing format there. So get in the server by 8:30 p.m. AEDT for the GT3s, and on broadcast it'll be the AM server split for race 1, and then switch to the Pro-Am split for race 2, with our broadcast coverage stepping away from the pros for a brief moment there. And then on Tuesday night, our unbroadcasted races, Downforce Legends, the Radical SR8, heads to the Miami International Autodrome's extended Marina Loop, so takes off a chunk of the back end of the circuit there for those cars. 40-minute race, starting there, as you can see on the screen, 8 p.m. AEDT for that. If you want to jump into qualifying, there's 20 minutes of that prior, so getting that session by about 7:40 or so for the full experience. And then following that race will be your Formula One Retro Championship. You're also going to Motorsport next time out. So it'll be a triple Motorsport treat, starting with the Retro F1s on that late Tuesday night slot. 40-minute race there as well. That starts at 9. Okay, you've got 9:20, and my spreadsheet says 9:15. The numbers will actually. Let's have a quick look at the. Let's go have a look at what's been scheduled in the league real quick, so I'm not talking complete nonsense. Looks like it will be at 9:15 AEDT start. So yes, that's a 5-minute difference, but obviously that 5 minutes won't matter if you're going to be tight on time there. So keep that in mind. And then last but not least, of course, we do the full loop. We come back to the Wednesday night racing, and it will be the return of broadcasting for, of course, here the merch of GSRC.inc Aussie Legends Support Series Cup. And since Mosswell only has the one layout, it will be racing exactly the same as what we will see in the supercars. But yeah, of course, there is the formatting there. And in fact, both the sprint rounds, the only exception and difference will be the fact that with the supercars will be a compulsory stop in race 2, whereas there won't be in the Legends. Maybe we get that situation again if you can squeak out some fuel, you might be all right there, like we saw for Gary Cousins last week at Watkins Glen. And that is the next 7 days, 8 days technically if you count a Sunday as a rest day of racing, coming your way here on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. Before we sign off, of course, I need to give big thanks to all of the sponsors that are making everything possible for the club here in this current season of the GSRC. And obviously, we start with Trophi.AI supporting Wednesday night racing here in the Supercar series is important there. Merch.tgsrca.com, support the club by getting yourself a bit of gear to commemorate things, and also, quote unquote, helping support the Aussie Legends and the support stuff there. In some respects there tonight. Also helping out the club, John at Flash Graphics. If you're looking for an iRacing livery, make sure to keep him in mind and check him out. And also has done plenty of stuff like decals and liveries for Mountain Men cars as well. So there's a lot of stuff that John has made available to the club members, or for no actual requests from him. And then, of course, coming back around to things like Disruptive Labs our club sponsor here in season 26A, as well as directly supporting the GT4 Challenge, the GTE Challenge on Thursday and Friday nights respectively. Waste Options here supporting your Monday night racing with Wings and Slicks in the Formula Lights this season, as well as, of course, the staple GT3 racing there as well. And that, I believe, is the round of them all there indeed, with Trophi.AI back on your screens. Well, I guess any final closing notes from you, Adam, before we sign off for the night? Obviously some dramatic racing, more so in the Legends as to expect there tonight, but Supercar's putting it on as well, with tyres and race strategy all sort of playing out for the first time with this longer format here this week.
You know, as you can see, there's still, like with most of our classes, the fact that everyone is fairly close in some respects to somebody else, so there's always someone around to have a battle with. So usually if you end up by yourself, it's normally because you've either been caught up or done something of your own nefarious actions. So generally speaking, the battles are pretty good, and most part pretty clean. A couple of mistakes here and there, but all in all, good night of racing, and hopefully we'll see it again next week at Motorsport, which is going to be one. I think it's going to be an interesting track. It's basically but much more fast and flowing, which is sort of not really a supercar handling characteristic, but they do like Phillip Island. So it'll be interesting to see how the big bangers handle themselves around the Canadian Motorsport Park.
Yes, indeed, we will have to obviously sit and wait on that one for another 7 days before we can get it, but you'll know where to find it here next Wednesday night on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. And with that, it's all said and done. On behalf of Adam Lavers here, taking care of our production for tonight, the rest of the club committee, and of course yourselves, the members, drivers, or otherwise here in the club. Hope you've enjoyed the show and all that's come with it. My name is Dan, and look forward to being back with you again next Wednesday night to continue our coverage of this season 26A. And until then, whether it's this broadcast here and subsequent broadcasts of the Wednesday night stuff, or if it's any of the other broadcasts we put on here at the GSRC for Thursday night, Friday night, Monday night, and so on, look forward to seeing you around in the live chats, or maybe out on the track as well. Have a good night, have a good day, whenever it might be you're watching this back. Take care, and we'll see you next time, whether that's here on Wednesday or any other night here at the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club.